Okay, I'm getting ready to do a demonstration. I just discovered this cool effect and just wanted to share it with some of my viewers. This is Nicole with Cards by Coley. I'm going to be doing some alcohol ink on photo paper, and then I am going to heat emboss on them. So I'm going to try and replicate some of these gorgeous pieces that I've made already. So this was made out of an alcohol ink background with some foil, and then I stamped it and heat embossed it. And believe it or not, if you do it right, you don't melt the plastic, which I just found incredible. I've never seen anybody do this, and I was excited to hopefully start a new trend and share with all my crafty friends out there. So here's another example of a large flower that I cut and embossed and then cut off some alcohol ink. I embossed it with some silver, sterling silver embossing powder. Here's another one that I made out of alcohol ink backgrounds. And I don't know, this is the stem that I just cut off, but they're just absolutely beautiful. So hopefully, like I said, I've kind of discovered a new trend. Here's some little flowers that I fussy cut. I embossed these with some rose gold embossing powder, and then these with some white embossing powder. And they're just absolutely beautiful. And I'm sure the camera just doesn't do them any justice, but they just really are pretty. So let's get started. I am going to use both sides. What I did here is I've just taken some Office Max photo paper, 5x7 glossy, and I've cut it in half, and I have one side, the matte side up, and the other side, the glossy side up. So you can see that this one is a little bit, more glossy, and this one is more of a matte finish. And I just kind of wanted to do a little bit of testing. So for the first panel, the colors I'm going to use are cranberry, sunshine yellow, and dandelion. And I'm going to go in and just start laying in some color. I think I'm actually going to start with the dandelion first. This is the butter or the sunshine yellow. See if we can get those colors to blend a little bit more. Once I add this red, I think it's just really going to make it pop. All right, so let's see what this does. Let me get out my famous tool, best tool ever invented, a huge straw. Use my mini mister that I have filled with alcohol and just see if I can't get those colors to blend a little bit nicer. Give them some texture. Ooh, that's going to be so pretty. All right, so that's the first panel. I'm going to set that aside to dry, and I'm going to work on the second panel, which is the glossy one. do the same thing, just kind of put some color on, let it move around a little bit. Sorry if I'm sniffling all the time. I have really bad allergies, and it's next on my list of things to deal with my doctor. It's a priority, but there have been other things that have taken over priority, so. Tired of not breathing every day though, and hopefully I'm sure some of you can relate. It's, you know, rough when you got allergies. And of course I'm allergic to dogs, and I have 2 of them, so you know, some of it my own misery I create myself, I guess. I just can't bear to part with them at this point. So this is the glossy one, and they seem to be moving around quite a bit more. That red really took over, but I like some of the variations it's giving. So let's see if I can lighten it up with some of this yellow. Part the seas. All right. Whoa, runaway paper. So for some reason, this one is not spreading around the paper as I would like it to. So I do have some alcohol ink over here, and I'm just gonna try and kind of get some of those white spots blended in a little bit better. And now I feel like I've lost color, so let's just see if we drop some in. If we can bring some of that yellow back. Yes. Oh, they look like they're developing so differently. It's kind of amazing to see how different papers react with the different inks. It's pretty neat. I love alcohol ink. In case you haven't noticed, I've been doing quite a few videos about them because I've been really enjoying playing with them and learning what they can and can't do. That's just kind of neat. All right, so I think that one's I'm gonna let that one dry too. So look at the difference between the matte and the glossy, which is the same piece of paper, just one of each side. So I'm gonna let those dry for a minute, and then I'm going to come back and heat emboss them. Okay, so both of these panels are dry. Notice I tried to put some foil on the matte side, and it picked up very little pieces. Now the glossy side, on the other hand, picked up just a ton of it, and it's absolutely beautiful. I almost don't even want to emboss over it, but this is a technique video, so we're gonna do it anyways. This one was on here so thick that it started to peel up a little bit right there, so we'll have to see, but it is absolutely beautiful. I hope the camera's doing it some justice here. So I've already gone ahead and placed my stamps in my Mini Misty. These stamps are from Fisker's. Petals from Scratch is the name of the stamp set. And I'm going to start with the matte one that I picked up first. See if we can hold this paper in place here. Okay. All right, so I'm going to use my embossing pad and make sure that there's no static electricity on here. That prevents all of the embossing powder from sticking to places you don't want it to stick. So this doesn't have to be too exact because I am going to be fussy cutting these out in the end. So I'm going to pull out my Versamark and ink up all of my stamps here. What's going on here? Some technical difficulties. I don't know how this piece of plastic got wrangled in there, but we still look okay. Give nice even pressure. And I'm going to use gold embossing powder for these. This is the best catch-all tool also for embossing powders. Just a coffee filter. Buy a pack that'll last you forever probably. Just sprinkle on your embossing powder. You don't have to be too afraid. It will jump off. I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So you can see where all the embossing powder is. Now I'm going to go ahead and warm up my heat tool so it's nice and hot, because with this process you have to make sure to move fast and not leave your heat tool in one place for too long. Always my rule number one, cover up the embossing powder. Let me get rid of this. Okay, so don't worry when you see the paper kind of bubble up a little bit, because it's going to do that. But you just kind of want to start moving it around until it starts changing colors, and then move to another spot. It does smell a little bit too, because technically you are melting plastic, but don't worry, as long as you don't burn through the paper and hold it in one place for too long, you should be fine. Okay. Oh, see this spot right here. Didn't exactly melt all the way. All right. So that turned out awesome. So now I can go ahead and fussy cut those images out, and I'm going to let it dry for a little bit, but I mean, it's fine. Let's go ahead and try the other side, see what the glossy side prints like. I have a feeling I'm going to do a test on this with my embossing powder, because I have a feeling it's going to stick to a lot of places I don't want, especially gold. So I might even pick a different color. Yep, it's stuck on there a little bit. So let's brush this all off. That's how you tell if you're embossing, whatever you're embossing on is dry or not. You just dump some on before you put anything on the paper. So I think for this one, I'm going to use, I want something that's going to pop. So I think I'm going to use black. And I think that will be so pretty. We're going to use the stamp embossing buddy here. Hopefully that will help get rid of all the stickiness. All right, so we're going to emboss up our images again. Kind of a bummer that one of the corners not going to have very much color to it, but well, whatever. All right. And I'm going to grab a different coffee filter just because, you know, they're cheap. So this one has some glitter in it, and I don't think I want glitter. So I'll put my regular black. It's just black that I've poured into a different container than what it came in. Oh yeah, it's showing up really nice. And it's not sticking to places I don't want it to, even better. Yay. Wow. I'm quite impressed with Mr. Black embossing powder here that I don't use very often because I feel like it sticks to everything, everywhere, all the time. However, you have proven me wrong in this case. It's almost perfect. I don't see anywhere that I need to get any black off. I just feel like there's other colors on here. All right, let's emboss this puppy and see what it looks like. Oh, it's kind of melting the gold flakes, which is interesting. That's kind of neat. They're almost melding together, the black embossing powder and the gold foil. Okay, I think that's good to go. Wow, that is so freaking cool. So, I don't know. I've never seen anybody try this before, so maybe I've just stumbled upon a new technique that we can pass on in the craft world. But I think these came out just super awesome. I'm gonna fussy cut them out and do a quick card, and I'll be right back.